Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. 7 o'clock. Having said that, I'll pass the chair to Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Mayor and Council wish to acknowledge the town of Fort Smith is located with Treaty 8 territory. Treaty 8 territory also encompasses the traditional homelands of Salt River First Nation, Smith Landing First Nation, and the Indigenous Métis people of Fort Smith. These nations have maintained stewardship of the sacred lands throughout the generations, and we honor your knowledge, teachings, traditions, and the land. We are mindful that colonization has not been kind, and we respectfully recognize our generational histories and commit to strive for unity in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. So, we have no statement of financial interest or disclosure of financial interest. But we have a delegation. Natalie Anderson. Yay, you're up first. She'll need a mic. No, you come up and then you got to turn the mic on so people can hear you. Oh. Ashley. Yep.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for all the work you guys do for the town. I guess I'm coming in because my husband and I, Leif Anderson, you might have seen him. He's really tall with a blonde mullet. We've been coming up here for about 15 years. We have a house over on Carl's Drive. And we've often just kind of ended up de facto being the landing pad, I guess, for international or out-of-town paddlers. They always end up at our house. We are kind of one of the few people that can really show people around safely around all the rapids. Last summer, there was occasionally we get reached out to by like a third party, like people who have a paddling business, and they do like to do international trips, different places, but they're usually based somewhere else. And they sometimes want to come up and do like a week-long clinic, and we'll host them and show them the river a little bit. So last summer, when one of these, and we've done this for a number of years, and then last summer, I didn't realize that we needed to have a home, or Adam McNabb came by and was like, "You need a home occupation to have these people here doing this." So I applied for one at the end of the summer, but then I was planning on coming in and talking to you guys or being able to be open to questions about the permit, but then we all got evacuated. And then we don't live up here in the winter. So then it was denied, mostly I think because of lack of information. And so I guess I'm here to kind of just to see what the route forward is. We didn't invite anyone up here this summer, so it's just us and our family and our nanny, and and then I don't even next summer we might not be up. We're working on a house down south, so I'm just kind of coming in to see to be able to answer any questions about it. But I do foresee this coming up again in the future, so I want to make sure we can, if there's a route forward to figuring out how to make something like that happen or what the concerns are. Yeah. Right here. Oh,
I see. Sorry, that's what I was asking. Yeah.
Here, I'll walk it around.
sorry. Sent out I wrote a letter last week, kind of explaining. I think most of the concerns seem to be either around noise and or around traffic. Most of the year it's not being used for this at all, and it's usually just 1 or 2 weeks, and then we're working on solutions for being able to have everyone load and unload in the past, people have unloaded and unloaded their boats in the street in front, but we're working on a solution to be able to do that on the property. We're going to be leasing some of the lot next door from Heather Villeneuve. Other than that, it's always been really quiet. I don't know. We've actually never had any complaints from any of the neighbors. So I think last summer was from someone who saw the clinic on the river, and the original complaint was that we were doing guiding services. So I don't know. Yeah. Oh,
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or about the business license application? Counselor Campbell?
Like it's all outdoors, and the way I'm reading it, there's no food prep place or running water or anything for any of this stuff? Like we're, as per public health?
yeah. Let me clarify that. There's a house on the lot that's used communally. There's a pump out for septic. There's running water that's on town water. There's this the people are just sometimes they'll just tent in the backyard, and it's not visible from the road really, the tents. And then we have a huge screen deck. It's 16 feet by 40 feet. People hang out on. So yeah. Did I answer the public safety concerns?
SAO?
Thank you, Councilor Ferguson. I did reach out to our bylaw officer. He wasn't the one. He wasn't actually even there when this was all thing. I just asked if he knew any of the background, and I guess the concern is, what is the more information? Because it said more information is requested within the actual denial. And I said, what was the main concerns? And I think the main concerns were storage, traffic, parking, and on-site camping. I think that was the ones that he identified as that. I guess the question is, what can be done to mitigate those so that this could be a successful application? I think I invited Natalie here today. I said, Natalie, come and talk to council and find out what you need to do in order to actually have a successful application if this is something that is doable, or find out once for all if it's not something that council would be comfortable with. So those were the main aspects. Was the parking and the on-site camping.
Do you have a follow-up for that? Just your mic, yeah.
As I said before, we're going to be leasing the lot next door, and we'll have additional parking there. So I think that will take care of that. Generally, it's not like huge amounts of people. And I don't know, the camping is pretty much, they're just sleeping in tents. That's it. And then they use the 14 by 16 foot deck there. So they're inside a lot of the time. It's not just people like reveling out in the backyard. It's not like a camping thing. Mostly people just sleep in their tents, and then they like come in, and the neighborhood, the Antoniak's dogs are next door. So they're like a lot of noise, a lot louder. I don't know. But yeah, does that answer the camping concerns? I don't know. Yeah.
Counselor Campbell, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. I'm more concerned, like, we're going to open a whole new precedent of giving business license out to different people. And this is where I bring up all the time, no safety concerns. And the water is only at the most down there, probably a 350 gallon. And you say there's 10, 14 people in there. Sanitation, cooking. And then we got all the facilities in this community that we're not using. You guys come in and say your paddle fest is going to support Fort Smith. I don't see how this is supporting Fort Smith for the community using a backyard when we have campsites. We put money into the campsites. We put money into our hotels, restaurants. We try promote everything to go for Fort Smith. And then I don't agree to open up, especially for something like this, because we're going to open a whole new can of worms for everybody else in the community of Fort Smith. Thanks.
Counselor Pissinger?
Yes, thank you. I sort of have the same concerns. We have a campground, a beautiful campground, showers, everything that people can use. I don't agree with, I'm okay, I support the business. You can have your teaching and your stuff there at your place if you want a home occupation. And you're guiding, so they don't really need to stay there if you're just showing them the river and that, unless you're doing some classroom teaching about kayaking and that, and your business is mainly in the summer, and the campground has facilities to host like a conference center if you wanted sort of like a classroom and that. I agree, like we all have, Fort Smith is a small community, we have to support and try to grow other businesses as well and support them also. Thank you.
Yeah, I can kind of touch on this a little bit. So first off, I would like to separate myself out a little bit from Paddlefest. I was coming up here before Paddlefest started. Paddlefest was initiated from the paddling club here. When Jen stepped down, I helped run it for a couple of years. But this isn't for one. I this isn't Paddlefest, so I just want to clarify that. The other I'll speak to the facilities around. So we have actually sent, because I have very low capacity really at my house. It's not like I have definitely sent people to the campground for sure before, and especially people when they're coming with like their RVs or bigger rigs, they send them to the campground all the time. So I have sent people to the campground. The cost for the hotels and things like that, basically the people that will come to do the river just won't come. Like it's not an either or. Like they won't. It's out of their price point. They just won't come to do that. The other thing is a lot of these tourists, they'll come for like a longer visit. So typically they'll want to be here for like more than a week. So they'll be here for 1 to 3 weeks long. And when you're out on the river all day in the bugs, it's actually pretty hard to camp at the campground as well. I've experienced that myself. So I kind of know how that goes. As far as bringing money, they won't be spending any money on the hotels, so I'm not gonna like try to say that they will be, but they do spend a lot of money in the grocery stores, the car mechanics on multiple occasions, all the incidental stuff because of their longer stays. So I don't know. I hopefully that spoke to some of those concerns or thoughts. But if I kind of, I don't know, if we're, and I'll definitely for like larger groups and things like that, I'll put them over to the campground. But yeah, and yeah, I can do some of that. Sometimes people will just come through on their canoes. I don't know, let them stay overnight, tell them about the area and stuff like that. So send them to parks. I've sent people all over the town. So to send people to the rec center. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
I know it's a con. Do you actually charge any fees for what you do?
It's pretty minimal. It's definitely yeah, I can't actually say that we're operating as far as like a real like money making business. We're just, you know, sometimes we'll ask people for donations to help cover the costs of our house and or some of the like water use or whatever we're doing. But as far as we were being paid by the third party clinic last summer to help them guide, not for their whole clinic, but on some of the days. Yeah.
Sorry. And then just a clarification, if someone were paddling down the river and in their little networks of paddling as they go. Would you be the call that if someone called, hey, I need a place to stay, and they would just like reach out to you, and this would be the location that they would reach out to?
It happens two ways. Yeah. One is sometimes we'll just invite like, hey, come up and check out the river. We've been kind of a pull for a lot of people who come here who wouldn't otherwise come. And we'll help you get set up and show you around, and, have a place to land. It's hard for people when they don't know, when out that touch point. Some people just will know that we come up here and will reach out to us, but we're not actively like marketing. If that's what you're asking, we're not marketing this. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. Or a friend knows us or someone sent them to us. Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions or follow-up for this? Councillor Campbell?
I like the idea of people coming to town, but I don't like the idea of us. We have the bed and breakfasts. We have all these other things in town that we make jump through hoops for to open up and everything. We have the local hotel that pays our staff and everything. And then we have come in here and wants a special exemption to operate for a couple of months a year. I still feel we're going to open up a whole new can of worms to everybody that's applying on a business license that is coming through. And like I say, I'm all for people coming to the community of Fort Smith, town of Fort Smith, and enjoy it. But they got to come and use the facility. If they want to camp. But don't go camp in somebody's backyard when somebody has a business down the road from them that trying to make money off it to survive. Thanks.
So for clarification, this is not an exempt type of business license. It is a standard home occupation application as per everyone else. Councillor Tucky?
I sort of get the gist of what you're trying to say, but I guess I have to agree with the other counselors. And I guess I'd just rather be a little bit more direct. If you go to page 2 and read bylaw 873N, bylaw 873Q, and zoning bylaw 936. In your opinion, are you in contravention of any of these bylaws? Because you're talking about people coming up with campers, canoes.
There's no like RV campers or anything like that. Sometimes people get out at Fort Fitzgerald with their canoes because they're doing a really long trip and they're portaging through town. Yeah. But, and they'll often do hotels sometimes too. I don't know. Yeah. I honestly, I don't really see where this fits in the standard like bylaws. I don't feel like there is, and if there was another like hostel type location in town, I would send people there. I don't necessarily need my house to become like a zoo. I'm not that interested in that. So, this came, and if it's that I need to apply for like just a guiding business, if we're doing that, then I can do that and offer, friends and family to stay at my house. I mean, what happens sometimes is the larger clinics that might come through, they might come with like 10 people or whatnot. Their margins are so tight, like they're just not gonna stay at a hotel, and they might stay at the campground. But in the past, we also have run into the fact that the campground's been full a lot. So other people will sometimes just go camp out at like, in Alberta on Mountain Portage or whatnot, but that's more of a safety or health concern that I've seen. Like the bears will come, and that's yeah, that's been an issue. So, yeah, but I hear you guys about the wanting people to come stay at the hotels, things like that. So,
Counselor Tucky?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I don't think you've actually answered my question. You've made reference that you have a large deck, that there could be gatherings. One of the concerns in bylaw 873Q is related to parking, traffic, noise, vibration. Is there a potential for increased noise with large gatherings? Although the applicant has indicated a quiet zone policy in place. So if you have multiple vehicles parked at your place, are you not contravening the bylaw?
it was my understanding that it was a problem when there was parking on the street. That was my understanding of the conflict there. Not that people can park on your private property.
No, that's a, okay.
You have more, you got a thousand gallon sewer tank. You do not match up for what the Canadian Building Code stands for occupancy in a building. We could ask the fire marshal to go and ask for the occupancy load of the building to make sure it's, like you say, you have gatherings on the deck. It's going to be a public place. You're asking for business license. We'll ask the fire marshal for an occupancy permit. See what we could put there. 'Cause I don't feel it's going to meet any of the codes, the residents you're talking about. I think it's too small. And we are just going to, it's just going to create, we're opening a whole can of worms approving this development, this Whitewater Institute application right now. I feel if you want to just write down just you want to do Whitewater instructions and all that instead of have people stay and everything at your house, that's much better. I just want to see all your newfound friends stay at our accommodations in the community of Fort Smith. Thanks.
Thank you. Do you have a follow-up or are we good?
So it sounds like there's just some concerns over taking business away from potential other parts of town, and that you're not opposed to the guiding aspect, but have some concerns over the hosting aspect of the application. Is that right? Because and then because I'm not I think right now at this point, I'm not gonna, the next 2 years, I don't really see anything happening anyway. So if I was to pursue the other aspect of the hosting, it sounds like I would need to go through a process with the fire marshal to alleviate the safety concerns. Is that right? And the health concerns. I would have to go through a process with the fire marshal maybe to alleviate the concerns there.
I think so. I think that's what here, because I think for the council is what we're thinking of is if, say, we allow this business for their services, whatever that might be, maybe it'll branch out for the next contractor or developer or someone else bringing in work crews and all that. If there's like a slippery slope, we don't want to allow for one that may not be acceptable to another. Is that the tone? Although we love what you're doing and think it's amazing, and we want those kinds of things to happen in our community, I think we want to do it more fair and better, so we can't say one yes to you and no to someone else. Okay.
Yes, I would really like to see this work, to be honest with you. It would be nice if these people could afford even a campground that, but obviously they can't. So how do we fit those people in here? Like everyone's got to play ball. I know there's a medium somewhere that we could probably get to.
To think about, but yeah, I'm willing to. I came here largely just to meet you guys and to have the conversation and to be able to like work out, talk about the concerns. And yeah, I'm not trying to make a buck off of anyone else in town, for sure. So yeah. Oh,
Thank you. So I'm going to thank you for coming in and delegating to us. I think you gave us a lot of information, and we will chew on it, and then we'll give you a follow-up. Okay?
and thank you so much. And if you ever have any questions for us at all about anything or want to be on the river, you can talk to me. I'm willing to take people from town. So thank you for your time. Yeah.
So moving on the agenda, I need someone to move the agenda.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Second,
I'll second.
Thank you. Any additions or changes? Okay, seeing none. All in favor? Okay, it is carried. In your package, there was very long minutes from the last meeting. Is there any business that arises from those minutes? No, no, I've been looking. I've been watching to see if she. Okay, no business from those minutes. Okay. So then, as always, you have your visions and values in here. And then we go on to the director's reports. So, is there any questions from those director's reports? Do you want me to go line by line? So the first one was there was a training report from EMS. Then there was the fire department statistics. Ambulance departure statistics. EMS, there was the EMS report. The land development report. Bylaw reports. Okay, no questions from any of those reports? Mayor Daniels?
yeah, on all our wood that we got rid of, I guess, did we get payment for those? Are we still waiting on payment from MECA, I would believe?
Oh, SAO?
All invoices have been received or have been sent in and submitted. I can confirm whether final payment has been received, but we have submitted all of our invoices and I don't have any concerns with not getting paid.
All right. Seeing no questions on any of the protective services statistic. Oh, Councillor Campbell?
On the bylaw one, are we doing anything about riding around on unregistered bikes and motor vehicles that are, have we